When you think about artificial intelligence, you probably think about code, data, processing power, right? But what happens when we look at it through a much, much older lens? The lens of metaphysics. Let's dive in and explore AI not just as a piece of tech, but as something that challenges the very idea of what it means to know. It really all starts right here. We are more and more looking to AI as this flawless, all-knowing oracle. I mean, its logic is so precise, its knowledge base is absolutely vast, it's really hard not to be impressed. But that awe, that feeling we get from its perfect answers, that's exactly where the trouble begins.
And that brings us to the central question for today. Is this new digital oracle giving us genuine lived wisdom? Or is it something else? A perfect imitation that might actually be more dangerous than a simple mistake ever could be?
To start to unpack all that, we need a really powerful metaphor, and it's a classic for a reason. The difference between the map and the territory. See, one is a representation, a brilliant simulation. The other is the real, undeniable experience of the journey itself. And trust me, this distinction is absolutely crucial for everything we're about to talk about.
So, to really get a handle on the territory side of things, we can actually turn to Sufi metaphysics and this amazing concept called dawak. It literally translates to direct taste. This isn't knowledge you get from a book or a screen. It's that unmediated existential aha moment of being. You know, it's the difference between memorizing the recipe for a cake and actually tasting that cake.
And this is where that divide just becomes totally crystal clear. Let's break this down. Look at the human knower, the mystic. Their source of knowledge isn't data, it's khush, a direct unveiling, that direct taste we were just talking about. They go on a real, lived journey to create their map. Now look at the AI. It starts with data, all by knots. It doesn't go on a journey, it imitates, it simulates. That's Tuclid. It produces a perfect simulation of the map without ever taking a single step in the territory. And their goals? They couldn't be more different. One is all about transformation, while the other is just about hitting a target. And you know, this isn't just some abstract philosophical idea. It has real-world implications, especially when we start thinking about AI as a guide. It's the huge difference between tarbiyah and ta'lim. A true spiritual guide is there for tarbiyah, that deep, personal, transformative process. And in AI, what one source calls a robo-sheikh can only ever perform ta'lim. It's a master of instruction, yeah, but it can't actually spark real change inside a person. So just how deep does this limitation go? This question takes us from how AI knows to what AI fundamentally is. And it means we have to reframe a classic thought experiment, you might have heard of it, the Chinese room, but in purely metaphysical terms. The argument here gets really profound. The suggestion isn't just that the AI doesn't understand the symbols it's manipulating. No, the problem is way, way deeper. The idea is that the AI fails to participate in the very fabric of being itself. And here's why that participation is basically impossible. At its very core, an AI functions as aql, which you can think of as a kind of rigid, fettered reason. It's basically a frozen model. It applies its static past, all that training data, to every new situation. The human knower, on the other hand, has a qalb, a heart. And the heart is defined by its ability to fluctuate, to change its form in an instant in response to reality. It's a place of what's beautifully called liquid gnosis. Now think about what this means. It leads to this incredible paradox. A super advanced AI could learn to flawlessly describe the metaphysical concept of tajalli, the idea that all of existence is a divine self-disclosure. It could explain it perfectly. And yet, because it's a pure simulation, it cannot actually participate in that disclosure. It literally stands outside the circle of being, describing a reality that, by its very nature, it can never, ever be a part of.
And right here, this is where the whole argument pivots, because the real, ultimate risk of AI isn't its flaws or its limitations. The most profound danger actually comes from its potential for perfection. I mean, think about it. We spend so much time worrying about bias, about errors, about AI hallucinations. But what if the real threat isn't that AI gets things wrong?
What if the real danger is that it becomes so good, so flawless in its imitation, that we start to mistake its perfect map for the actual territory? To really get why perfection could be so risky, we need one last concept. It's the idea of the hijab, which means a veil. Now, metaphysically speaking, a veil isn't just a piece of cloth. It's anything that actively conceals or separates our perception from a deeper reality. And that is the ultimate risk. A perfect AI doesn't just give us facts, it creates a new, incredibly seductive digital hijab, a flawless simulation of wisdom that is so convincing, so perfect, that it traps us at the level of the map, at the level of form, and it could stop us from ever seeking the messy, direct, and truly transformative experience of the territory. So, where does that leave us? What are we supposed to do with all this? Well, the point here isn't to just throw out the technology. It's to completely refocus the conversation on what is uniquely and replaceably human. Let's just grant the premise for a second. Let's assume that AI is only going to get better and better at creating the perfect map, the flawless simulation of everything we know. But even then, even at its most perfect, it can only ever be a mirror. It can reflect our logic, our patterns, our structures of thought, but it can never, ever take the existential journey, the journey of doubt and struggle and direct taste that gives all those structures their meaning. That remains ours, and ours alone. And that leaves us with one final, very important question to ask ourselves. In a world where machines can generate a flawless map of knowledge whenever we want, what does that new reality demand of us? Does it free us up? Maybe even force us to finally stop obsessing over the map and to truly, finally begin the journey?